Welcome to Private Fame. Today's story is about Justin Bieber, not the teenage heartthrob, not the global pop sensation, but the kid who grew up under a microscope, whose every mistake was front page news, and whose fame arrived before his identity ever had a chance to form. For years, he was the internet's favorite punchline. Then the redemption arc, then the downfall again. Every tattoo, every tweet, every breakdown, consumed, judged, memed. This wasn't just celebrity, it was surveillance disguised as stardom. And through it all, the question remained: can you really grow when the world won't let you forget who you were at 15? If you're staying with me, like the video, subscribe, and tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? You are born famous, not by name, not by bloodline, but by fate. From the moment your mother cradles you in the half light of a Canadian hospital room, barely 18, broke, burning with the kind of religious fire that turns fear into prayer, your life is already orbiting a spotlight you can't see yet. Your crib is a borrowed bassinet. Your lullabies are whispers of survival. And your father? He's a ghost with tattoos, in and out of the picture like a faulty light bulb bright one day, cold the next. You love him anyway. You don't get a choice. You grow up inside a borrowed world, secondhand shoes, frozen dinners. Your mom works office jobs, cleaning gigs, anything that pays just enough to keep the lights on and the landlord quiet. You don't resent her. You worship her because even when there's nothing to give, she gives you music. A used guitar, a beat up drum kit, a keyboard with missing keys. You treat them like relics. You practice until your fingers blister. You study Michael Jackson like scripture. You perform for the silence, for the attention you never get at school, for the father who only shows up when it's convenient. You play to be seen. And one day you are, not by a teacher, not by a record exec, by the internet. Your mom films you singing outside a bakery. You're just a boy in a hoodie, standing on a sidewalk with a voice too clean for your size. She uploads it to YouTube, not to make you famous, just to show the family. But the internet has other plans. The clicks come fast, the emails come faster, and then Scooter Braun, he calls, he flies you out. You're 13. By 14, you're shaking hands with Usher. By 15, you're a product. No one tells you it's a transaction, not out loud. They say words like opportunity and platform and blessing. But you are no longer a boy. You are a brand. A blank canvas with perfect skin and perfect teeth and just enough Canadian politeness to be marketable. They dress you in purple hoodies and snapbacks. They choreograph your humility. They auto-tune your adolescence. You smile when you're told. You sing what you're given. You dance like your childhood depends on it because it does. And it works. Baby drops. And suddenly, you are not just a boy with a voice. You are the boy, the global teenage dream, a symbol, a product line, a projection screen for a billion fantasies. Girls scream, paparazzi chase, managers whisper numbers. Your life becomes a soundstage, a calendar, a blur. You are 15 and already exhausted, but you smile anyway, because that's what you were trained to do. You are Justin Bieber, and the world does not love you. It consumes you. You don't remember when the screaming stopped being flattering and started sounding like static. All you know is one day you wake up in a hotel suite that doesn't smell like you. It smells like chlorine, room service, fear. Your name is on every pillow. Your face is on every wall. But your body doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the schedule, to the contract, to the camera. You're 17, and you've never been alone. Every moment is managed. Every tweet is a strategy. Every friendship is vetted. The boys around you aren't friends, they're buffers, paid distractions to make you feel normal. But there is nothing normal about being watched by 100 million strangers who think they own a piece of you because they memorized your smile at age 15. You try to date Selena, the good girl, the Disney girl, the one they say will ground you, fix you, save you. You believe it. She believes it. But love isn't safe when you're both products trying to love in a glass box. Every kiss is photographed. Every fight becomes headlines. The world roots for your downfall because it entertains them. You think you're in love, but really you're just both trying not to drown in the same tank. Then come the cracks, the tantrums, the cancellations, the slamming doors backstage. You start smoking at first for stress, then for silence. You start drinking at first in secret, then like you've earned it. You were never taught how to say no, so you say yes to everything. Pills, parties, ego. You get a monkey, you abandon it in journals, purpose. You pour your insides into music. People call it your redemption arc, your comeback. But you know better. There is no comeback when you never left. Only collapses behind the curtain. Only panic attacks in dressing rooms. Only numbness behind the beats. Your body starts giving out Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety. You cancel tours. Fans cry. The media speculates. Has Justin lost it? Where is Bieber now? You post cryptic Bible verses. You disappear. You come back. You disappear again. Because healing doesn't trend. It just hurts. And you're hurting all the time. But the show goes on. You try to fix it the way broken men always try to fix things, by finding someone to carry your pieces. Her name is Haley. Clean-cut, polite, pre-approved by the church circuit and family-friendly algorithms. You marry her in a courthouse ceremony that feels less like a fairy tale and more like a hostage exchange. Two people too young to know if they're healing together or just hiding in each other's trauma. The headlines call it romantic. They call it mature. But beneath the filtered wedding photos, you're still twitching. Because love doesn't cure addiction, it just distracts you from it long enough to pretend you're whole. You start doing interviews again, sitting on couches across from men with podcast mics and sanitized empathy. You talk about your faith, about your past mistakes. You say words like grace and redemption and accountability, but your eyes are glossy. Your hands still fidget. There's a script behind your apologies, a rhythm to your remorse. You know how to sound healed even when you're not. You post photos with pastors who wear Yeezys. You get baptized in a bathtub. You raise your hands in worship while the internet dissects your wife's eyebrows and your health in the same breath. Every time you show vulnerability, they mine it for content. Every time you try to disappear, they yank you back by your old songs, your old mistakes, your old self. You don't belong to yourself. You belong to nostalgia. To a generation that remembers you as the boy with the purple hoodie and the bowl cut and the voice that cracked like glass under pressure. They want that boy back. They want innocence. But you killed that version of yourself to survive. You buried him under years of tour buses and Molly and paparazzi bulbs. And now you are haunted, not by scandal, but by stillness. Because when the world stops watching, when the applause fades, you're left with yourself, with the body that trembles, the voice that sometimes won't come, the eyes that have seen too much. You live in a mansion, but some nights it still feels like a cage. The silence is thick. The shame is louder than the fans ever were. And even God, some days, is just another silence that doesn't answer back. You try therapy. You journal. You paint. You cry into the shoulders of a wife who didn't sign up to raise you but is doing it anyway. And slowly, inch by inch, you start to feel human again. Not a prophet, not a prince, not a punchline. Just a man, tired, trying, still here. You're 25 and feel 80. Every joint creaks under the weight of years spent performing adulthood before you'd ever been allowed to be a child. You lived backwards. You made millions before you could legally drink. You sang about love before you understood abandonment. You broke the internet before you broke your voice. Your nervous system is burnt, toast crispy at the edges, mush in the center. So you retreat, not into a cave, not into the mountains, but into suburban luxury. A mansion in Beverly Hills with clean walls and filtered air. A wife who cooks organic and prays over dinner. A life curated like a Pinterest board titled Healing. You grow plants. You walk barefoot. You post about the importance of rest. But even in this stillness, there's a twitch under your skin, like your soul never learned how to stop bracing for impact. Because fame is a trauma that keeps reloading. You can't even open your phone without seeing your past perform for you. 2010's Justin Bieber dancing in the rain. Every time Justin Bieber said shawty. Selena's reaction to Justin's marriage. You are a museum on loop, a meme with circulation, a ghost who still gets fan mail. And the worst part? You miss it sometimes. The rush, the crowds, the euphoria of being wanted. But then you remember what came with it: the 3 a.m. panic, the synthetic highs, the stomach knots before press appearances, the girls who didn't love you but loved what loving you did for them online, the way every friendship felt like a networking event in disguise, the way people looked at you not as a person but as an opportunity, a ladder, a trend. So you double down on the new identity. You become Mr. Bieber, married man, redeemed man, God's man. You post long captions about suffering and scripture. You get more tattoos, each one meant to hold down a piece of you trying to float away. You start to look less like a pop star and more like a wounded youth pastor. The hair's gone, the eyes heavier, but the boy's still in there trapped under layers of faith, fear, and forced adulthood. And then the illness strikes, not metaphorical, not spiritual, physical. The Lyme disease comes in waves: dizziness, fatigue, brain fog that makes you forget your own lyrics. Bell's palsy hits, half your face stops moving. The internet, compassionate as ever, turns it into a punchline. Justin Bieber looks weird now. What happened to his face? You retreat again. Your body isn't a temple. It's a time bomb, and you're tired of pretending you're okay. So you stop pretending. You cancel appearances, you delay albums, you post a tearful video about what it's like to feel like your body has betrayed you. You tell your fans you love them, but you can't tour anymore, not like you used to. Not when you're holding your face up with one hand and your dignity with the other. Some understand, some leave. And that's the final lesson fame teaches you. No matter how high you fly, gravity always gets the last word. But there's something sacred in that crash. Because now, for the first time, you're living a life that doesn't require a soundtrack. You're not choreographing your grief. You're not filtering your face. You're not selling your story as a redemption arc. You're just breathing. Sometimes with pain, sometimes with joy, sometimes with nothing at all. You wake up next to someone who knows all your ghosts and doesn't flinch. You write songs no one hears, not because they're unfinished, but because they're just for you. You talk to God in your car, not because you need a headline, but because the silence is finally safe enough to ask him things you were too afraid to ask before. You are no longer a boy. You are no longer an idol. You are no longer a symbol. You are Justin, and that is finally enough. There will be no dramatic final bow, no fireworks, no glitzy farewell tour branded with nostalgia and a Spotify tie-in. Your endiff, it can even be called, that will be gradual, a soft fade, not into irrelevance, but into something much rarer in your world, real life. You'll show up once in a while, a pop-up performance at Coachella, a surprise verse on someone else's track, a selfie with a fan at a farmer's market, but you're not performing anymore. You're visiting the persona that used to own you. They'll say you grew up, that you found peace, that you changed, but what really happened was simpler than that. You got exhausted. You ran out of versions of yourself to sell. You realized the machine was never going to stop, so you stepped off the conveyor belt and let it keep spinning without you. And still it spins. Other boys rise. Other voices hit the high notes. Other scandals replace yours in the algorithm. You see yourself in them. The panic behind the eyes, the smile that's a little too practiced. You want to reach out, to warn them, but you know it's useless. No one listens to the burned-out prophet until the fire catches them too. Your house is quiet now, not sterile, not sad, just quiet. The way you always wished it could be when you were living in hotel rooms and private planes and backstage hallways lined with yes men. Your wife reads next to you. There's a dog asleep on the floor. You're not thinking about your brand. You're not checking numbers. You're not calculating how a post might land. You're just breathing. You still write songs. Not for charts, for clarity, for healing, for the part of you that still trembles at the idea of being enough. And sometimes late at night, you sing them to no one, to the walls, to the God who didn't fix you but sat with you in the ruins. And in those moments, you remember who you were. The boy on the steps of Avon Theater, the voice in a parking garage, the child before the cameras. And you don't hate him anymore. You forgive him for chasing it all, for breaking, for surviving. Because in the end, that's what this was. Not a rise. Not a fall, but a survival story told through headlines, haters, hospital visits, and hymns. You were Justin Bieber, then you were no one. Then you were someone new, and that quiet, unseen, unmarketed is your greatest work yet. Good night, Justin. You made it, and that is the only thing worth singing about.